Hi, LGP. I trust that your time in South Africa has been blessed, that you have been encouraged, that you've been challenged in new ways, that the things that you have experienced, the people that you've been able to interact with, and just the gift of being together has just allowed the Lord to meet you exactly where you've needed him to show up in your life right now. So my name is Kayli Hillebrand. I have the blessing of being part of cohort 11. I am not with you right now. And there's several reasons for that, which I'll kind of touch on a little bit later. But I have the gift of being asked to take some wisdom and advice that my cohort has been asked to provide to the cohorts after us. Can you distill that into some bite-sized nuggets and share that with you all? So first though, who's in cohort 11? I hope that you have been able to get to know them a little bit as you've had your time in South Africa together. But just to recap, we are the group ultimately that was crazy enough to sign up to start a doctoral program right at the beginning of a global pandemic. Most of us had submitted our applications, gone through the interview process and everything during that 2-week flatten the curve, right? Remember that way back in the day? And yet we continue to press on. So just shy of 6 months into that closure is when we kicked off our first class. Our program was a little bit backwards than the normal trajectory that the staff has laid out. And so we went into it really kind of blind leading the blind in a way. But I can't tell you how timely it has been, how encouraging it's been, and how much of a blessing it's been, I would say, for all of us to have had this group to walk through such a strange and challenging and really pivotal season together. Not just for our own kind of leadership context, but really this massive global context that has really united us in a way that I don't think we'd ever seen before. So who is in our cohort? We have pastors. We have pastors to pastors. We have nonprofit leaders, vocational missionaries. We have community development leaders and higher ed educators, and just ministry leaders. We are representative from the US, from the Middle East, from parts of Europe, from parts of Africa. And so we've really had this beautiful opportunity to look at, hey, what's going on in our world right now from so many different facets that has been such a gift. So I hope that your cohorts equally are set up in such a way that you're able to dive in and learn from one another's own context, in addition to the readings and the things that you're going to dive into. So we have experienced a lot over the last few years. We are walking into our final year. We are wrapping up our NPO projects. We are getting ready to submit our stuff here in the next few months, and ultimately wear those very large and expensive robes and walk across that stage. And I would say for all of us, we know that that's not the end point. This is just a new opportunity, a new door that's going to open up some things that the Lord has asked us to walk into. So things that we have experienced that we didn't know that we were going to experience. We've had international moves in our cohort. We've had domestic moves. Folks have switched positions vocationally. Some have pivoted even just their whole career. We have walked through the birth of a baby, my baby. She's super cute. But we've also had folks that have had to say goodbye to loved ones. We have been sick. We have gotten COVID. We've had other things. We've experienced surgeries. We have gone on mission trips. And we have navigated COVID in so many different types of contexts and capacities. And ultimately, we've all walked through significant leadership challenges over the last few years. I can't tell you, though, how pivotal it is that this program has really been parallel with what we have seen globally with the pandemic. So this challenge, although it has provided extra obstacles for us in terms of how the program traditionally would look, was so pivotal, was so just right at the right time, honestly, because the weight that I think we all have been carrying in our own context has been a little bit lightened by the fact that we're walking this together, walking so much of the unknown and working this out in real time. So a little bit about ourselves, but really we were asked to say, hey, what do we want to share to the folks that are coming after us? What kind of wisdom do we have? What kind of things have we experienced, tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff. So I've had the blessing of listening to all of that from my colleagues and trying to distill that into a few minutes. So if you would oblige me, the first thing is that I think we really want to encourage you to be yourself. You were chosen in this program for the fact that you are the created person that the Lord has anointed for this time. So trust yourself, trust the people around you that have helped get you to this point thus far, and trust that the Lord has been specific in that you are taking up that seat right now. No one else is supposed to be in that seat. That seat is for you at the table. So sit at the table well. Embrace the opportunity that you have in front of you. What is Jesus ultimately saying to you? Maybe you entered this program knowing full well, hey, I need this doctorate in order to advance this and this and this in my life. Or maybe it is purely a step of faith and of obedience that you said, yes, Lord, I have zero clue what I'm doing here. I have zero clue why I'm advancing my education once again. I have zero clue why I'm paying somebody to make me do a bunch of work. But ultimately, I'm trusting you, and I'm trusting that you're asking me to do this, and I'm going to say yes every step along the way. Some of you might be thinking about the folks that are coming behind you, the people that you minister with, the people that you walk alongside with. Who is it that you're going to be serving in the immediate, but also in the future? So trust that all of that is part of this plan. And you may not work that out fully in the 3 years that you're in this program, but the Lord has something good for you in this. So stay curious. Friends, you're going to read a lot. You're going to write a lot. You're going to learn about concepts and maybe even historical events that you had no clue about. Some things are going to be really easy for you to walk through and analyze and connect with, and other things are going to be incredibly hard. So stay curious, lean into that, ask more questions. Don't feel like you have to know it all. Just because you're a doctoral candidate does not mean that we know everything, folks. So be curious. If you don't know something, ask why. Ask how people feel. How do they interpret that? You might be in a cohort with folks that have completely different theological frameworks than you, or cultural frameworks, or worldviews. Ask questions. It's the best way that we're going to learn in this whole process. The next thing is you can't do this alone, friends. You just can't. This is a program that's going to require sacrifice. There are things that you're not going to be able to engage in over the next few years because you need to make space and you need to make capacity for the things that are being asked of you to complete now. So you can't do this alone, whether it's you need help at work or at home, or maybe you need to say no to some things. Maybe you need to put some things on the back burner or pause. Whatever it is, ask for the help that you need. Be clear with the capacities that you have in the season with those around you, and really make that intentional space to dive in to this season in this program. Trust the people that have been provided to us in this LGB program. Our staff are amazing. Our project faculty are wonderful. Our lead mentor is just that. And we have this rare, I think even extra special gift right now of watching our lead mentor transition into a whole different vocational context, and watching him do that well, watching him still love his people well, while taking on this new adventure that the Lord has called him to. So let's be mindful of not just watching him, but encouraging him in that too, because that's incredibly hard, as any of us know that have transitioned. Lastly, though, lean into your cohort. These colleagues are going to be the folks that you're going to walk with these next several years, that are not just going to be able to walk with you in your NPO project and doing the discussions and the comments on your blogs and all that kind of stuff, but they're really the folks that are just going to start walking life with you. They're going to understand the weight that it is that you're carrying in this program and in life and in work and all that kind of stuff. So get to know one another, share phone numbers or WhatsApp or whatever it is, but really engage with one another. It is a gift to be together in this capacity. So grow in your reading skills, your writing skills, your research skills. Some of you are walking in feeling really overwhelmed, thinking, I don't read great, I'm a slow reader, or maybe I'm a slow writer, or I don't like to write. You're going to be doing a lot of both of those things. So whatever it is that you need to do in order to get yourself comfortable and just at a place where you can dive into that more, do it. Get back to the basics. One of my colleagues, I love it, bought a basic grammar book when we started this program because he's just like, I need it. I just need to do it. And so that has been really helpful for him and transformational for him. So if that's something that you need to do it. There's no shame in that. Equip yourself well in the things that you want to dive into. Regarding your project portfolio, some of you are kind of stepping into that midway point. Others of you don't really know what we're talking about just yet. But regardless of where you find yourself, focus on the one thing. What is it that maybe the Lord has kind of asked you to dive into? What is it, the thing that he's put on you as like a passion project or something that you're just like really inquisitive about? And then try and narrow that down a little bit more. If you are like me, my NPO really could go super wide. It could go super deep. It really could mean so many different things. And I've had to just continually focus and focus and refocus and refocus. And that's okay. So do what you need to do. Listen to the stakeholders. Listen to the folks that you're interviewing with. Do your best to get as much of a global perspective into your project as you absolutely can. So maybe that's some of your colleagues in the class, maybe it's part of their networks or whatnot. But just reach out, try and get as many voices to help you hone this in as you go. Lean into the process. If you are at all like me, you would like to know steps A through Z, which they do provide you in a 70-page manual. That's slightly overwhelming, I'm just going to say. But what you need to do is trust that our staff and our faculty know this process well, and they're guiding you each step of the way. Sometimes you might feel like it's super fast. Other times it'll feel really slow, but just trust that they are guiding you as you need to go. And lastly, the stakeholders that you have, folks, continue to listen, really listen. Some of you might have a really great idea of what it is that you want to dive into, maybe what that problem is or the opportunity is, but really take hold and advantage of the folks that you have in your room when you do your different workshops or individual interviews, and really listen to what it is that they need, because maybe the Lord's opening something up just for you to get to the next little place that he's got for you. So make friends with those that are in that room. I am abundantly jealous that I am not there with you, but I have had the blessing of really just trying to make friends with these folks in my cohort, getting to know them as people, getting to understand their vocational context, the challenges that they have, the ways that they are walking through life. And that has been a gift, not just showing up at class and taking a step back, but really, how do I engage with them beyond the class period? How do I encourage one another? How do we take that step to support one another? So my cohort has done a fabulous job of that. Part of the reason that I'm not there is that I have experienced a lot of life while I have been in this program. So surprised with a miracle baby last year. Well, she was born earlier this year. But shortly after we found out that she was on her way, we also found out that I had a third recurrence of a really rare form of cancer. So I had undergone a surgery and cancer treatment and all sorts of stuff, which has made me ineligible to do international travel for the time being. So I'm not with you. I'm doing a different version of an advance right now. I'm excited to share that as I get back together with my cohort. But just know that life is going to happen, and your people around you want to support you. They want you to succeed. They want you to do well. So do not be afraid to open up and to express the fullness that life is bringing you in that moment. You might get a little exhausted in this process, folks. This, as one of my colleagues put, this has been the most exhausting period and process, but it's also been the most life-giving. So I trust that you will probably experience that as well. But really, this program is shaping your perspective. Hopefully, it's shaping a theological perspective, a geographical, geopolitical, psychological, socioeconomical, and cultural perspectives. We want all of those to kind of be engaged, be widened, really be challenged as you go. So one of my friends in my cohort said, I'm simply not the same leader that I was when I stepped into this program. And I can tell you that I think my other say the exact same thing. We're just different people. We're different leaders, and we're grateful for that. So to sum it up, my friends, go back to what is your why. You're going to need to revisit that over and over and over again when you don't want to read a book or do another blog post, or when you're sitting at the computer trying to type something for your NPO and you just got nothing in you. What is the why? Go back to the why. What is it that the Lord is asking of you, that He has placed you in the context of wherever you find yourself? What is that? And then beyond that, guys, we're working on a global kingdom. We know the end of the story. We know that this is just a part of that. And so what is it that the Lord's asking us to do in the here and now, but also what are we having the privilege of setting up for the kingdom to come? So to my cohort 3, my year 3 cohort, this is it. We got a few more months. We are the group that has the privilege of entering as D-Min, but choosing if we're going to be doctoral leadership. And that's really exciting. That's been really fun. To the ones that are just crazy enough as I am, press on, finish well, set aside what you need to in order to focus. I can imagine that you've had a beautiful time together, knowing how much that we have not been in the same room over the last few years. So take that energy and move it, help it, let it move you forward. To those in your year 2, you're just at that halfway point. Keep going. It's going to be worth it. You're going to dive into a different level of your NPO this year. It's going to require some more sacrifice of you, of your time, of your resource, of your energy. But get back, like we said earlier, get back to the basics if you need it. Ask questions, ask for help, ask for input, but trust the process and those that are entrusted to walk you through it. And lastly, to the cohort that's just joining, welcome. We invite you to this table. You have an intentional seat here, and we're so glad that you are able to join us. You made it. This is not a mistake. Do not let imposter syndrome sneak in. Everyone that, as you look around that room, has likely wrestled with that, wondering, why in the heck am I in this room with all these people? But the reality is we're all just folks following Jesus one day at a time. And this is where He's brought us. So take full advantage of this opportunity for yourself, for those around you, for the people that you lead, for the people that you're going to engage with in the future. And if I can just bless you as you go, Jason really encouraged us to think about the Apostle Paul and how he talks about how he handed on things. So what it is, think about what is going to be like in a few years when you're the graduating cohort. What is it going to be that you want to hand on to the folks that are just coming in? But may the Lord bless you and keep you. May His face shine upon you and give you grace. I look forward to seeing my cohort. The first time I'll meet you is at graduation, so soon. But the others, bless you.